Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media LLC. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. Happy holidays to all of you. Remember, can't see my stuff here. Hold on. Remember, broaden the scope of exposure for your business. Visit us at www.jmmbmediallc.com to learn more. People are just as happy as they make up their minds to be. Abraham Lincoln. I am so excited to bring to you today Rikimah Glymph, who is the founder and CEO of Be Well 365, a wellness brand that provides resources and creates spaces for deep reflection and autonomy to drive sustainable and impactful wellness outcomes. As founding partner of Glymph Consulting LLC, a consulting firm that focuses on business infrastructure development and mentoring, as well as individual wellness, Rikimah is also a writer, mentor, and advocate for equal rights and opportunity. With over a decade of experience affecting change in both the political and civil worlds, Rikimah has served as the Chief of People and State Operations for Bernie 2020 and as the Global Director of People Operations for Dimagi. Welcome, Rikimah.
Thank you for having me.
You are just a busy bee.
We try to stay busy.
For sure, but you're busy doing a lot of things that matter. So give us a little bit of what Be Well 365 is about and how do you make an impact with that?
Yeah, so thank you. First of all, thank you for having me once again. Be Well 365, it was born out of love.
Mhm.
I had been working in people operations and finance almost my entire career, so 20 plus years, on the progressive left in social justice related organizations. And over time, I started to see some things around the types of folks that were coming in and out of these organizations, specifically the profiles that are required in order for you to wake up one day and say, I'm going to go fight for the rights of me and other people. I'm going to go be on the front lines of all the most critical fights that can possibly be happening. And, from doing a lot of coaching with folks, I realized half of us are showing up manic. Half of us are, the reason why we got to work at these environmental orgs is because we believe that, like, if we don't, the world is going to cease to exist as it is, or we got to go out there and work for Black rights, because if we don't, we're going to continue to see them roll back time and time again, right? But the level of commitment that's required means that there's a certain kind of personality profile that goes into that kind of work. And over time, I kept saying, HR and people ops work is great, but I feel like our people need time to reflect, because these are people who are giving to the world more than they're pouring into themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you start to see is a lot of burnout. You
Yes.
see a lot of folks who are losing family during the struggles to fight for liberation or freedoms for everybody, right? You
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of family units breaking down because it requires so many hours of hard work, right? And you see kids being affected, spouses being affected, our minds, our bodies being affected, right? And you look up one day and you say, wow, we got people who are exiting and not returning. We got some people who are dropping on the job, right? Who are passing on the jobs. And then we have a lot of people who are psychologically going through the most, because maybe they're dealing with primary, secondary, tertiary trauma as they're trying to do this work. It's also opening up scabs and wounds that we all came into the work with, right? And so one day I got up and I said, you know what? We need somebody who's going to be focused on rejuvenation. We
Mm-hmm.
need someone who understands how manic we can all be and who understands how sensitive the work is that we do, right? Because we've got to have a container that feels trustworthy. And
Mm-hmm.
we oftentimes, as people of color specifically, we oftentimes struggle with trusting medicine or trusting a doctor to tell us that we need to take a break or that we need to work on our minds and bodies or what that might even look like, right? Because we are living in a country, in a world where pharmaceuticals become the top thing, as opposed to what are the natural ways that we can start to reignite and to get our bodies and our minds back in the right direction. And so Be Well was born out of all of those considerations. Me one day saying, I want to be a part of the solutions. I want to create a container, a vehicle where maximum 10 people can come on any given retreat. And we are going to double down on their person. How's your mind? How's your spirit? How's your job? How is your finances, right? So we're going to take them through the 8 pillars of wellness. And we're going to not just teach them about those pillars so that now we're saying you don't get to leave here ignorant no more. You now know what areas you got to care about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to make them journal. And then we're going to do some personality profiling so that they understand, well, if I don't get along with that kind of person on the job or at home or in the community, this is why. Because for who I am, how I'm made up in this world, certain personality styles are going to be triggering for me. And so now I need to know, well, how do I relate to them when I know more about myself? And so therefore I can get ahead of these, these explosive experiences, these interpersonal dynamic challenges that I think chip away at our social wellness, chip away at our emotional and spiritual wellness, right? And then we go have a lot of fun. Because one thing that people know about me is radical joy means the world to me. Even in a world that looks so hard today, we are fighting every day we wake up just to feel joy, just to remind ourselves that we can do as much as we can do as ourselves, but we have got to make sure that we maintain, right, our ability to thrive, to be okay, because without that, we can't get any other work done, right? And so
Absolutely.
that's where it was coming from, was the need to love up on our people, the need to demonstrate that there is another way that we can do this work and value ourselves, our temples, our hearts, our minds, our spirits, and so that we can continue to be, I think, role models for this next generation that's coming up, that's witnessing us all burn out, right? Because we can't normalize that. We can't normalize that, or else we'll all be cuckoo, right?
Absolutely.
So trying to make sure, and so the retreats, sometimes people bring their kids. I've had retreats where people bring whole generations. Grandma showed up, mom showed up, and the daughters are showing up, right? We have guys that come through all the time. And sometimes during our retreats, we have to say, well, wait a second. Do we need other people? We need other practitioners. Do we need sound therapists? Do we need regular therapists? Because maybe someone's parents just died, or maybe they are, psychologically having darker thoughts. What do we need? Do we need people who are financially literate? Because maybe we all struggling on the finance side, right? So we host retreats that we can curate, create the agendas, mix and match different groups of people so that you don't have people who are sitting on way different sides of the spectrum
Mhm.
around, yes, I'm well, but I'm here to turn up with y'all, or no, I'm not well and I'm having dark thoughts, right? And so that's one of the things that Be Well does. The other thing we do is a lot of coaching, a lot of one-to-one coaching. I used to do people operations coaching, which is very HR centered. When managers will come and say, my employee is not doing the job, I need you to coach them so that either they can manage up or they can just get motivated to get the job done. And in that coaching, I kept being told that I was operating more like a life coach for people. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Coaching is coaching, right? Like my
Yeah.
job is to figure out what's at the core and then to help you get that barrier adjusted so that you can continue to focus on the thing at hand. Sometimes our barriers is that we're having interpersonal dynamics on the job, right? Interpersonal
Mhm.
challenges. But a lot of times, this grouping of people who are in the workspace right now, they're bringing in personal stuff.
Yes.
They are new moms who don't have support systems, who feel like failures because they got to outsource laundry, right? They are young, guys who are witnessing the world around us and saying it's hard to focus on this job when I just got pulled over, or I'm concerned about something going on in my environment,
Mhm.
right? And so, I like to tell employers, look, people come as full people. They're 100% full, which means they're bringing in their lives from the outside. We got to be
Mhm.
dealing with childcare and kids being disciplined at school. We got to care about if people are being divorced or happily married. I mean, we have to care about these
Yes.
parts that employers don't think they want to be caring about, right? So we do a lot of wellness coaching on the job. And then the other part of the work we do is we write books. We write wellness books because one thing is for me, I came up in an environment where there was, resources were scarce.
Same
So,
here.
right. So paying a couple $1,000s to go to a retreat, that feels out of touch for many, many people in our world, in our country. And I said, if I can create a book that basically gives all the information about the wellness experience and some ideas, examples where people can start, a book is like 3 Starbucks coffee.
Yes.
Right? That's 3 cups of coffee for everybody, right? And so that's more attainable for our friends who are feeling a little bit more, I think, restrained on the finance side of the house, or that may not know what they need just yet, but they know they need something and they're not ready to make full investments. So we
Yeah.
do lots of things.
Yes, it sounds like it. It sounds like you've got it all covered. So the retreats, how do people connect with you to learn about the retreats?
Yeah, so oftentimes people come directly through the websites. So we do 2 different kinds of travel. The retreat travel goes directly through the Be Well website. So they can contact me via email at rikima@bewell365.org, or they can go directly to the website and put, push the button that says, I want more information. The other travel we do is fun travel. People who talk to me will hear me say this incessantly. Travel is wellness.
Yes,
Travel is
it
wellness.
is.
Because if you're me, my biggest challenge has always been environmental wellness. I've never felt well here because being in the country has meant I'm leading with skin complexion, I'm leading with gender, I'm leading with sexuality, I'm leading with all of these different things that in essence, actually, I just kind of want to show up as a human and not have to care about any of those things.
Amen. And I say
It's,
that all the time. If we can get over the bull crap
that's
and
right.
just stick to human,
That's right.
we
That's
could
right.
just stick to human, the world would be a whole different place.
That's right. That's right. And also, like, if the country you live in doesn't feel environmentally well for you, I need you also to know that there are other countries and other places around the world where there are people who look like you, who would accept you, and where that can also be home. So I have been to over 120 countries. My son just hit his 79th country. And
Wow.
people said, why would a 12-year-old have been to 79 countries? And I said, it's simple. I need him to know that for who he is, he can find home anywhere he goes. And that he
Mm.
doesn't have to be here if here he becomes emotionally unwell, environmentally unwell. His spirit is unwell, right? He needs to know he's got options, and agency and option is half of the battle when it's about wellness writ large. So that is in part what happens. So, anyways, so we do lots of different parts, even on that front, but all of it is predicated on under the premise of wellness. How well can we get? How well can we be? And what kind of wellness are we looking for?
Oh wow, this is so deep, and I like the way you shaped it.
Yeah.
It is just totally different. So I admire you for what you're doing. So what's your website?
So for the wellness website, it's just www.bewell365.org. And from that website, if people are interested in some of the other ways in which we deal with wellness, then we can also share that stuff too. But that is the main motherboard website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So I heard you mention about the 8 pillars of
that's right.
wellness.
That's right.
Can we touch on that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so a lot of people think that wellness is just eating right and working out. And what you'll find is a lot of people who eat well, who are probably fit, who still are unhappy. And one of the things that I try to tell people is, well, it makes sense. Our lives are multifaceted. It's not just about what we put in our mouths and how much we're moving around. It's also about, can we pay our bills? Are we financially well? Right? Do we know how to invest? Are we feeling literate? Do we have literacy? Right? Do we owe the tax man? Right? What are we worried about? Can we pay for our homes? Can we even buy homes? Do we know how to save? Right? I come from a poverty background. we weren't taught to save because everything was about the need for today. And
Yes.
so, the learning of doing that and then allowing for it to then branch me into opportunities of investing and other types of things, that was a learning experience that impacted my ability to be financially well. My
Hmm.
spirit, how's your spirit doing? During COVID, a lot of people, I think, struggled spiritually because
Yes.
they were reaching for whys as young people, old people, babies. Well, everybody's going through it, either sick or perishing, or on eggshells about not wanting to be sick, right? And so you had a lot of people that either was going to church or not. A lot of people who never started off believing, who were reaching for answers. And I would tell people, how's your spirit? How connected are you to the greater world around you? I'm not talking religion now. I'm talking about, do you see that you are one piece of a major puzzle and that there is a world around us that's either doing better or not so great that we can be contributing to that will give us purpose,
Mm.
right? Because purpose is a thing that needs to be waking us up every day. How are you feeling occupationally? Look how many people are resigning from their jobs.
Hmm.
They're walking away. What are they calling them? Silent folks. They're just walking out on you, right? And you ask yourself, well, why would that be? Employers ask me all the time because some of the work we do also is recruit for other social justice organizations.
Hmm.
Why do you think people are leaving? Well, it's a few reasons. Because they probably were in work that wasn't bringing them joy in the first place.
Right.
Because now that we know that tomorrow is definitely not promised, everybody is looking to maximize on the thing that brings them the most joy today.
Hmm.
Because you're probably not treating them well, right? Y'all are thinking that just because you're paying six figures, it means you can treat them any kind of way and take time. But now we know we can't get time back,
Hmm.
right? So people don't want to spend time wrapped into all these things anymore. They have other ideas for what would be a better use of time. So how are you occupationally? How are you mentally? How is your mind? Because without your mind being okay, nothing else matters anyway, right? We know this.
Right.
If we're depressed, we ain't working out, we ain't eating well, we ain't going to work, we're not doing none of this. We don't care,
Hmm.
right? If we're anxious, none of these things matter. So how are you tending to your garden? How are you tending to your mind? And of course, we talked about, the physical side of it. We talked about what we're pouring into our mouths. But wellness, in essence, it means that you've got to focus in on these different areas. How are you socially? It has taken a lot out of me to get socially well because I'm also an introvert.
Hmm.
And I'm also a person who's on a mission. I'm feeling like I'm on fire and like I'm supposed to be digging into this wellness because so many of us are unwell. So
Yeah.
the purpose is being, it's dragging me out every day. Right? Meanwhile, it's like, but if you're working all the time and you're not spending some time to be in community or communion with people in your community, right? People that you care about, people that you don't know, but you need to be learning from, right? Like, how can your spirit be well? We are community driven people,
Yes, we are.
right? And we need to be in companionship with people,
Hmm.
right? And without that, whether it's about your kids or your spouses or even the world around us, we tend to feel isolated. We tend to feel like things are not okay because maybe we don't have anybody to call when things get hard. Maybe we don't have anyone to laugh about that funny show that was on the other day, you know? And so that's the thing also. So just thinking about and keeping in mind that wellness is multifaceted. It isn't just two things, it's several things. And that at no given time will all of them be okay, right? No given time are you going to be 100% perfect. I came into this conversation today knowing, that for me, my spirit requires something right now. And so what did I do? I booked a trip and I'm dragging all of my family members who live in this state to Jamaica with me in a couple days.
All
They
right
said,
now.
why? I said, because I need to dig my feet in the sand. I need to feel the warmth of the universe on me. I need to be around people who look like me. I need to eat good food and I need to not worry about the things that are back home right now because I got to clean my mind out so that I can do some vision boarding, so that I can be manifesting what I want to see happening for this next year and years to come. Right. there's never going to be a point where all of them are going to be okay. And so every week I work at the end of the week, I will look and say, how you doing? How did you do? Did you work on the social stuff? Did you work on the food stuff? If you did, great. That means I should be feeling better right now. But if I'm not feeling better, what area am I not feeling better in? Great. Next week, I'll be working on financial. Next week, I'll be working on my mental health, So just keeping in mind that wellness is multifaceted and that it's never going to be 100%, but that every time you should be asking yourself, great, now that I've focused on this area, are there other areas I can care about? Let me go focus on those two. That way you never believe the work is done, because the work is never done. It's always continuing.
Yes. And with all of that, accountability becomes
That's right.
very, very important, because at the end of the day, if it's me, myself, and I, we tend to let ourselves down
That's right.
because nobody else knows
That's
what
right.
you're going through.
That's right. That's right. And so that's the reason why those networks matter, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I literally just went and got a gym membership. I hate gyms. I hate them all. I'm not a gym rat. I don't enjoy, and I'm also a person who is not into germs. So when I go to the gym, it looks like a germ cesspool of like petri dish of sickness to me. But my son is a gym rat. He loves to work out. Loves to work out. Now you can't get him to eat not one broccoli, but he loves to work out. And so I said to my son, I'm going to sign us both up for memberships, recognizing that mom struggles. I struggle. Now, this is me being honest, right? Because without honesty, I can't have accountability, right?
Exactly.
Son, mom is struggling. This is the one part of my wellness that I let slide through the cracks because I got so busy that I didn't even have time to go work out. I'm going to do the gym because I know you want the gym. You need to be around other men who can teach you how to lift those weights and do the things that guys do. Fine, touche, whatever floats your boat. But I signed up and I need you to hold me accountable the way I'm going to hold you accountable. Let's go together.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let's go together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So your retreats, how often do you do them?
So
And
I
what
tend to do,
locations?
sorry about that. Yeah, I tend to do one per quarter. And I choose locations all over the world. So I only go places where I feel the energy is healing.
Mhm.
The last one that we had was in Barbados.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
for anybody who's been to Barbados, they should probably know that the energy of that island is so healing. The water is so healing. The first time I got in that water, it felt like a whole bag of butter just came off of me. And I had no idea I was feeling all that. No idea. So we host retreats in Barbados because for me personally, as an energy person, it just feels like that's where we're supposed to be. We've held some retreats in Turks and Caicos. Those retreats are great for people who want to not have access to anything. They just kind of want to focus in and zoom in on what they are working on. But Turks and Caicos isn't a place I'd say has strong energy. And so it isn't one of my favorite places. We have been in Belize. We've been in Costa Rica. I have lots and lots of people who keep asking me to host one, on the continent. And so we have been also planning for that too. But my number one places has always been Barbados.
Wow. So people need to definitely get to your website and keep connected. Now, in between your retreats, because most people, when you're starting something new,
Yeah.
it's not in your DNA yet. So you definitely kind of need some hand holding to get there until you can stand on your own 2 feet.
That's
So
right.
how does that work with your organization?
Yeah. So this is where that coaching and mentoring comes in. Because sometimes people will say, great, let me do a week of coaching for X amount of time, or let me do, coaching once every, 2 weeks or something like this. But the coaching is important because for people who are still trying to discover what's going on with them or where they need to focus or who need that hand holding, as you said, sometimes sitting with us so that we can ask those questions and we can pick and prod, right? And pull.
Mm.
One of the things that I was given by the grace God goodness is the ability to read people. And so I can usually tell when people have things that they're not sharing or things that they want to share but don't know how to say it. And I'll be the first person to say it the way you feel it. I don't need you to
Mhm.
put a cloak on. I don't need it to be, buttoned up or any of these things. I just need you to be authentic. Say
Yes.
what's going on, say what's on your mind right now. And from there, we work backwards. Wherever they're starting is where we're working from to then put together a plan for, okay, here is what you're saying, here's what I'm hearing, here is what it means to people like me in this work. Does that resonate with you? Great, let's draft a plan together. And then let's continue to hold each other accountable along the way. Let's meet, let's check in on these goals. I'm going to do research for you because I'm going to go find some things that you may not have time to go find. I'm going to go look for some recommendations that are consistent with the environments you're in. I was doing a show not too long ago, and the young lady focuses in on service workers, but it was about wellness. And she
Mhm.
said, yeah, she said, oftentimes people say, go outside, get some air, get into the environment so you can be environmentally well. And I had said, what about our brothers and sisters who are not living in environments where the environment is safe and conducive for that? What about our friends, when you say eat healthy, who are living in food deserts? What
Mhm.
about, right? And I said, hey, when you give recommendations, I need you to give recommendations that take into account that there are the extremities in the world. And
Yes.
we can't make an assumption that one way is the only way. We have to ask, what's your environment like? What's your food situation like? What do you have access to? What don't you? A lot of people need recommendations that are within the confines that they are working in,
Mhm.
so that then as they're continuing to grow that, they can then start to branch out to some of these other opportunities or ways of being. I
Yes.
said, I wouldn't tell someone who's coming out of the projects, because that's where I came from. So I said, as a person who knows these environments, I'm not going to tell someone, go outside and take a walk at 10 o'clock at night. I'm not going to do that, right? You'll be lucky if I told you to open the window.
Right.
Because I don't need you having those problems. But what I might say is, during the daytime hours, I'd like for you to maybe go up to the nearest YMCA and take a walk. I might say during the daytime hours, maybe crack that window, definitely not that door, right? I might say, let's go get you some plants, some live plants.
Mhm.
Let's start to bring in nature into the home also. And as you are out and about, maybe you're not going to be able to buy a $10 salad, but I might say, hey, but I do know some people who do gardening, and they do those standing gardens on their porch and in their backyards.
Mhm.
And so if you're in a food desert, let's talk about how we're going to grow a couple things that's going to make you feel so proud, because it's within your control. Seeds don't cost a whole lot. And it's on your porch where you don't need a big plot of land, and you don't have to worry about soil that's been contaminated.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So it's been interesting just thinking about the different unique needs of individuals, and that's why I love coaching. So in between the retreats, I tend to do lots and lots of coaching that tries to meet people where they are and where they're trying to go.
Mhm.
And when it's not about that, sometimes even I go as far as hosting dinners.
Wow.
I'll build up dinners. Sometimes I work with organizations and I'm in charge of putting together their retreats. And so I'm inserting wellness even in those areas. In my neighborhood, people will tell you I'm the one who hands out eggnog, and in the summers the kids are always at my house looking for hot dogs and lamb chops, because I open my entire house. But any way that we can insert wellness is what we are doing, because it has to be a part of our value statement.
Mhm.
Right? So we try to live and breathe it, and we try to make sure that we are teaching along the way.
Absolutely. Wow, Rikima. I am just so glad that we met.
Same here.
This is very, very enlightening. And I mean, I speak to a lot of coaches, but never one who focuses on environmental
Yeah.
wellness, because that's huge.
Yeah.
That is really huge.
That's right.
Oh, wow. So again, how do people connect with you? Please.
Yeah. That's right. So they can feel free, like I said, go to that website, www.bewell365.org. They can also connect with me via email on the website. The email is there too. And I am always a text away. I tell people, don't call me. That is the millennial in me showing up, but they can text me. And I'll always get back to them.
And I'm just the opposite. If somebody sends me a book, 3 or 4 paragraphs in a text,
Yeah.
call me, please.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And I am adjustable. I'm amenable and adjustable for different styles, different ways people show up in the world. But yeah, no, I'd love to be in community, and I'd love to talk to as many people as possible. And like I said, that book is up on Amazon
Oh
also.
yeah, talk
Um,
quickly about the book.
yeah, so we wrote a book called it's about wellness, of course, right? And so every single thing that we're working on is exactly that. But it is a generational guide to holistic wellness. That book is up on Amazon. The reason why that book is something that really resonates with me is that it is literally about the 8 pillars and about all of the different things that people can do in order for them to feel well, whether they have resources or not.
Mm.
And so one of the things that I'll try to make sure that we do as we close out also is make sure that we get a link over to you, so that in case your followers would like to check that book out. But it basically it talks to you about these pillars, and it helps to break them down into different things that you can do to jumpstart the different areas. And it does take into account the many places we're all coming from and the many lifestyles we have. Some of us don't have kids, but some of us do. And that means that we are strapped for time that much more, right? And so, what are some of the things I can do as I'm making breakfast for my child, right? I haven't eaten breakfast, but I got to make his, and I also got to work out. So, how many laps up and down the stairs am I doing then? So it tries to give you real examples of different ways to insert some of these things.
Mhm.
And one step further is that it also tries to offer additional resources that are out in the world writ large,
Mhm.
for folks to utilize also. And again, that's also on Amazon. If anybody looked up my first and last name in Amazon, this would pull that up immediately.
Okay, yes, and make sure I have the link so that people can go directly to it.
That's right.
This has been amazing. You have uplifted my day in
Appreciate
this
it.
conversation, and I am looking forward to more conversations and definitely bringing you back to because I believe people need to hear things
That's right.
a lot. You know how we are. We just like kids. You gotta tell us over and over and over again, and then one day we have the aha moment.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So thank you, Rikima,
Absolutely.
for taking time out of your day to share your wisdom with our audience. We truly appreciate you. And audience, we thank you for tuning in. So this is the holiday season. Everybody have an awesome holiday and be well.
That's right.